Another week has come and gone in the NBA, so let's catch you up on everything you possibly missed. Last week in the NBA. You guys told me last week that you guys are really liking this series. You guys think this is a fun way to start out your week and everything, so I'm going to keep bringing it to you for the time being. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. For those of you familiar with the series, this is the last week in the NBA tracker, a little spreadsheet I threw together. You guys know I love building spreadsheets and stuff like that to kind of help take us through the journey of everything that happened last week, to familiarize any new viewers or anything. These are our stat leaders from this previous week in the NBA. You can see like Luka Doncic here. These were his stats from last week: 45 points per game, 13 assists, 11 rebounds. It was only one game, but he had a phenomenal game that he played in. Over here on this side, you can see their year stats. So he's up to almost 30 points a game, 8 assists, 8 rebounds. We know Luka Doncic is awesome. The stats here are year stats as well. So we're going to start off by going through all the top performers from this last week, some people that I want to highlight. We'll go look around the association, see who's been playing well overall. We've got some news and some highlights to cover over here. We'll go over the rookie report and some standings overall, and that's it. So all right, let's jump into it. The first player I really want to highlight here is Victor Wembanyama this week. I know it's so easy to pick him, but I feel like this week we have to give him some special attention to literally just be like, this guy is so good at basketball. It's not even funny. For a big part of this season, we'd been seeing Wembanyama's three-point numbers just like skyrocket, and not in a good way. He's taking like 13, 14 a game, and he wasn't really converting on a ton of them. We saw like a really low 30s percentage, but he's kind of cut that back. He's still taking like 7 or 8 a game, but dude's hitting right now. Just in this last week, 30 points per game, 4 assists, 8 rebounds, 7 blocks a game. He had a 10 block game just, was it last night? I believe. Absolutely nuts. Looking at his season, about 25 points a game, 10 rebounds, a steal, 4 blocks, and he's converting pretty well from around the field as well now, like a little bit below league average from 3, but like he's picking it up, right? He's picking up, and it's never been that he's a bad shooter by any means. Like, he's a good shooter. It's just he was taking really bad attempts. Like, it kind of seemed like the Spurs were almost encouraging him to do so. And I actually saw that Wemby has hit more. He's now hit 200 three-pointers in his career, which is faster than guys like Steph Curry even ever did, which is pretty nuts. And I guess Curry was injured a bit during the beginning of his career, but they listed off like a bunch of other really prominent three-point shooters that he's already surpassed. So good for him. Maybe they just want to get him that award. But the Spurs have looked pretty solid overall this week. I feel like they've been a lot more healthy. They've finally got their whole starting lineup back, with Devin Vassell being like a big part of that, being back in the first 5. They've been able to move Stephon Castle to the bench. And like, look, Stephon Castle's had a very solid rookie season, but overall the team's going to be better with a guy like Devin Vassell out there with him. So really, really good to see him back out there on the court, taking his weird ass jumper and everything. But anyway, great to have Vassell out there. Wemby is absolutely dominating. So creative with the basketball. The self alley-oop he threw is amazing, but he's getting it, man. He's everything we hoped for and then some. Next guy I want to highlight here is Cade Cunningham, and I feel like I've been doing that a decent amount recently, but y'all don't understand how good Cade Cunningham is right now. 27 points in this last week, 12 and a half assists, 5 rebounds, a steal, and 2.5 blocks, shooting 49% from the field, 40% from 3. He's been a positive. The Pistons are like winning basketball games, and it's mostly just Cade Cunningham willing them to victory. You'll see here Cade Cunningham's number 3 in the NBA in assists overall this season, but he's setting people up. He's being methodical. He's being big Jalen Brunson, basically, just kind of navigating around screens, never being too explosive or anything, finishes with either hand, shooting the ball well. Like, the defense has been pretty nuts. He's been blocking shots and everything, getting people off the help side for blocks and stuff like that. He's doing just about everything you could ask. The Pistons have some good things going on overall. Like, you look at the likes of like a Jalen Duren having a pretty good season overall, 9 points, 9 rebounds, 70% from the field. He's number 4 overall in the NBA this year. You guys are going to hear me say this every single week. You're not getting away from it. Malik Beasley, just play him more, just start him. It's not that complicated. The Pistons lineup, when these two are on the court together, is absolutely filthy because Cade just needs space to operate, and Malik Beasley gives him all the space in the world that you could possibly need. I'm surprised that we're not seeing more from the likes of like Fontecchio and stuff, who just hasn't really been on the court to really achieve much. And then you look at guys like Tobias Harris, and they've still been struggling overall this season, but at least we have Asar Thompson back, which has been nice. He still isn't like hitting from the outside necessarily right now, but getting his feet back under him after the blood clots and everything. It'd be nice to try and see the Pistons be somewhat of buyers going into the trade deadline. Look, we know the Pistons are going to be involved at the deadline somehow just because they've got the cap space to go and do so. They're going to take on somebody's contract or something like that, but it'd be cool if they could snag a player that could help them in the rotation or something along the way. Just to be like, hey, Cade, we know you're playing good right now. You're starting to win some games for the first time in your career. Look, here's a little something, something. We're trying, right? We're trying. Like, keep him motivated, right? Go get him like another shooter or something like that, or someone to help him convert on offense. I don't know, just something else, right? Throw him a bone, if you would. But no, love Cade Cunningham this week. Next guy up here is DeAndre Hunter, and any of you that have been watching like NBA basketball as of late have seen that DeAndre Hunter has taken a very surprising leap in his game. When DeAndre Hunter was picked some years ago with like the 4th overall pick or whatever, basically the draft analysis of him is like, this guy's going to come into the NBA and he's going to be a starter right away. We're talking like 14, 15, 16 points a game. I don't think he's going to get any better than that. And up to this like last couple like we'll say like a month or so, that's pretty much been DeAndre Hunter's career, like very, very solid starter. But now all of a sudden you're starting to see him like really skyrocket. Like obviously this week, 26.5 points per game, 4 rebounds, not really passing the ball very much, but shooting well from the field. Overall in the year, with the Hawks and all this other like scoring that they got going on, you got a 20-point a game score. Mind you, he's coming off the bench too because they insist on starting Ricochet, which whatever, it's working for him to come off the bench. 4 rebounds again, shooting well all around the field. He's a net neutral for a Hawks team that has been kind of struggling overall. He was -7 this week. So hear this stat out for me really quick. DeAndre Hunter, I think it was last night, he played only 24 minutes, which is criminal in and of itself, but he scored 26 points in that time, but he was a -22 in the game. How the hell is that even possible? How are you scoring points every single like 30 seconds on the court and you're a -22? I don't even understand how that's possible. Atlanta Hawks, play some defense. It's not that hard, but they have needed every bit of it with Trae Young continuing to struggle from the field. You have the likes of Jalen Johnson here, who's having a good season overall. So you've got like 3 20-point-a-game scorers on this team, which is really interesting, but they're playing Ricochet. Let me pull him up quick. Quite a lot of minutes, obviously the first overall pick. I'm not too tripping about like efficiency or anything like that this early on, but hasn't been a great start for him overall. And you got the likes of like Bogdanovich starting to play well again. It was kind of a rough start, but I feel like he's starting to heat up a little bit more. But can the Hawks ever stop anybody is the question. Like, we love the effort that we're seeing from all these guys, but we're still not necessarily getting the results from it. So a little bit confused. And then the likes of Clint Capella are on the trade block and stuff, which I don't necessarily understand why, unless you're going to tear down this whole thing. Might be time to trade DeAndre Hunter now. Like, is he your long-term piece? Are you going to Ricochet? Is this the highest that DeAndre Hunter could possibly be valued? Because he's not an easy guy to trade necessarily, but it's not that hard either. And if you can get a haul for a team that doesn't have a ton of draft picks, you don't know where you're going, maybe. But DeAndre Hunter, man, what a time he's having. Final guy I want to cover this week is Dillon Brooks, actually. Now, Dillon Brooks only played in one game this week where he had 26 points, 7 rebounds, a steal, shot the shit out of the basketball. He was a +22, so there's the opposite end of DeAndre Hunter. So he may not have had like the best overall week. He had a very, very good week in his one game, but typically I try to avoid those where it's just like one game or something like that, but I want to take this opportunity because I don't know when Dillon Brooks is going to find himself in the top 20 scorers for a week again, just to say Dillon Brooks is having such a good season for the Houston Rockets. The defense, 99.5 percentile. He's basically the second best statistical defender in the NBA, which is pretty nuts. So good for him. Chris Dunn is like on another level, and then it's like Dillon Brooks, and then it's Wemby or something like that. So that kind of shows you the competition that he's in. But offensively, like Dillon Brooks has been like pretty solid this year. Taking a look at him here, 13 points per game, 4 rebounds. He's shooting well from 3, maybe not so much from the field. He's never been good at like necessarily finishing around the rim and being like that, but he's such a menace defensively. He's been contributing at a pretty high level overall on offense for them. I want to give him his praise. Now, the Rockets are in a lot of trade rumors and stuff because they want to package some of their young guys. They want to shoot for things. They're in good standing right now in the NBA, so they're like, okay, let's start to make a little push. Everyone instantly thinks, do they add a Brandon Ingram? Do they add a Jimmy Butler to the team? Dillon Brooks playing this well makes it a little harder because it's like, okay, do I trade a Dillon Brooks and then insert like Steven Adams, and like, is Jimmy Butler or Brandon Ingram that much better than Dillon Brooks? I'd still say probably yes. I still think adding one of those two guys probably better for the team overall, but you're giving up your best defender on a team that's playing pretty damn good defense right now, and you have to determine, like, hey, are we losing too much of a dog that kind of keeps the rest of the team locked in defensively, a leader, things like that? Those are the things that we just don't get to see because we're not on the inside of the team, right? And I don't honestly have a lot of connections inside into the Rockets right now, so I don't know. I wish I did. I'd love to see more of, like, Amen Thompson and, like, Tari Eason and, like, what they're like behind closed doors, but Rockets having a phenomenal season, and Dylan Brooks is a big reason why for it, so I want to take a second and shout him out. Looking around the association, not much we're seeing change out of the assists per game leaders here. Trae Young is still running away with things despite having a pretty poor offensive efficiency season. He's passing the ball a lot more and being a more willing defender. Cool to see. Jokic, he's on top for pretty much everything. Let's do our weekly pull up Nikola Jokic and see how many different categories he falls into. You can see all the green here. He's just everywhere. He is everywhere. So shout out to Jokic. Cade Cunningham, like I mentioned, having an all-star season. At some point down the line, as we get closer to the all-star voting and everything, I'm going to do a video where I pick my all-stars, and I'll just kind of go off rip and basically go through every roster, pick out people that I think are borderline all-stars, and then we'll pick our 12 people from each side. But just wanted to throw that out there. LeBron, awesome, right? He's passing the ball. I think Tyrese Halliburton, this is our first time seeing him in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out Tyrese Halliburton. We all know he's good at passing. Rebounds. Karl Anthony Towns continues to grab every single rebound. He also plays the entire game, so that helps a lot. Domantas Sabonis has been having some monster rebounding performances this season. Just looking at Sabonis's numbers, 21 points, 13 rebounds, like 61% from the field, 42% from 3. Oh my God, Sabonis, what a season. The Kings just can't make 3-pointers outside of like certain people. Otherwise, this team is so good. And I've got opinions on the Kings, but we could talk about them later. Jokic again in the rebounds, Zubats and Anthony Davis, names we expect to see. Steals, Dyson Daniels as always. Luka, still surprisingly up there. Good for Luka. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander falls into there. Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Williams. So we see the 2 lead Thunder players making an impact on both sides of the ball. Blocks per game, Wemby. Nobody's ever going to catch him ever again in NBA history. Walker Kessler having a phenomenal season overall. We love Walker Kessler. Anthony Davis getting his blocks as always. Miles Turner and Brook Lopez, the names we expect to see. Field goal percentages, I don't think these are ever going to change. It's just been Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively pretty much. Walker Kessler stays in there because he only dunks the basketball pretty much. Jalen Duren just catches alley-oops. And Jared Allen's just been really efficient, being the 4th option, honestly 5th option for the Cleveland Cavaliers, so good for him. And then 3-point shooters, Nikola Jokic is number 1 still at 50%. Taurean Prince hardly behind him, also at 50%. There's some decimals that you can't see here. Norman Powell, just the peak of efficiency this whole season. Let's pull him up just to see quick. Almost 50% from the field and 47% from 3 on 24 points per game is insane. Shout out Norman Powell, man. What a player. I didn't think we'd see this level of play from Norman Powell. But then we have Karis LeVert here. Another surprising name that's contributed a lot to Cleveland's success this year. Shout out Coach Atkinson and everything. He seems to just pull things out of his team all the time, no matter where he goes. And I guess Karis LeVert was on that Brooklyn team that he coached before, and he kind of developed him before, so I guess that kind of makes sense. I never put that together, actually, but wow, plus 11 on the season, phenomenal efficiency, doing a little bit of everything from them. That's awesome. And then Royce O'Neal. Shout out Royce O'Neal. A lot of it is just, hey, he gets to spot up and stuff when the other Suns players are doing things. I apparently don't have a picture ready for Royce O'Neal, but you know what? That's totally fine. We're not tripping about it. Anyway, let's move on to news and highlights. First things first, we have some 3-point records that were broken all at once this week, and we're talking like team 3-point records, or more so in a game, I guess I should say. So 3-point record for makes and misses in a game happened this week, which is pretty crazy. So the Bulls and Hornets, yes, my Chicago Bulls, I know, played in a game where they recorded 75 missed 3-pointers. 75 missed 3-pointers. That's nuts. I can't even fathom that. How many threes were actually even made in that game? I don't actually know, but it was kind of a gross game. I was watching that game. It was gross. A lot of missed shots, just not really falling. So yeah, 75 missed 3-pointers. That's the new NBA. By the way, I'm going to do a video at some point about NBA ratings and everything, because do I have that on here. I don't have that on here, so let me finish this really quickly. The other was the most like makes in a game. The most 3-pointers made by 2 teams in a game is now 48 between the Dallas Mavericks and Golden State Warriors that just happened in this last week. So that complete opposite of the game we were just talking about. Teams just making shots at the end of the day. I am gonna touch on this just a little bit. There's been a lot of discussion about how the NBA just like what's the viewership numbers are really down right now. Like people are just not really watching the NBA. And look, it's typical for the NBA to not be something that people focus in on until Christmas, but numbers are especially low right now. So I think I'm going to do a video on it at some point. I don't even know exactly what I want to talk about because that's an area of knowledge that I don't possess a ton of, in all honesty. Like, why are people watching versus not watching? But I encourage you guys to leave me comments down below so that I have things to talk about. Otherwise I'll think of some things myself, but I'm very, very curious to hear what you guys think are some reasons behind that. But anyway, moving on, let's talk about some good news and everything. Greg Popovich is okay. Obviously Greg Popovich had a stroke, which is extremely scary. He's been away from the team ever since. He issued this statement. He said, unexpected 6 weeks. He's been recovering and everything. He said, no one is more excited to see me return to the bench than the talented individuals who have been leading my rehabilitation process. They've quickly learned that I'm less than coachable. It's just, we don't deserve Pop, man. We don't deserve Popovich. We need him around the NBA and everything. What a lovable guy. Everything that I've heard from within the Spurs organization is just like the best. I've always wanted to meet him, and I've never had the chance. I hope one day that I get to, because man, what a force he's been in the NBA, and we're glad to see that he's okay and he's going to return soon. Moving on, the new All-Star format has been confirmed. So as the NBA continues to try to like evolve and things like that, we've had things such as like the NBA Cup got added, the play-in games, which big fan of both of them. I liked watching the Cup and everything. Ton of fun, right? Really, really enjoyed that stuff. What is interesting is kind of the All-Star game and All-Star weekend has kind of been depleting, right? Like the 3-point contest was fun to see Sabrina Ionescu versus Steph Curry. That was cool. The 3-point contest is always kind of cool. Dunk contests feel like it's dying out. There's just only so many dunks people can humanly do, right? It's just, I don't know. I feel like you should just bring professional dunkers in or something like that for people to watch. I don't know, but it is fun to see the players, do it. But anyway, like the All-Star game in itself is pretty much just guys jogging up and down the court playing pickup. And like, of course, right? Why wouldn't it be that way? That's just how it is. So they've restructured the format a little bit. We now have a mini tournament that's happening, right? So the first thing that you need to know is that there's like a Rising Stars challenge that happens in the NBA, which is like all the young guys, like all the top young stars and everything. So take your rookies and your sophomore players, right? They're going to play in a tournament, and this actually happened last year. And then there's 3 teams of the young rookies and sophomores in the NBA, right? And then they're going to take a team out of the G League, like the top like G League performers, and they're going to be a 4th team, and they're going to play in a little mini tournament, and whoever wins that gets to compete in the All-Star Game tournament. And how the All-Star Game tournament is going to work is it's the same thing. There's 24 All-Stars. They're going to break them up into 3 teams of what would that be? Is that 8? Yeah, 3 teams of 8. And then there's going to be whatever team won the Rising Stars tournament will get to be the last team, which is kind of cool, right? Like, how cool would it be if like the rookies like beat the All-Stars or something like that? Like, obviously Jared McCain's not playing, but could you imagine Jared McCain like hitting like a game winner over LeBron for the All-Star tournament? How nuts would that be? That'd break the internet for a little bit. It'd be absolutely hilarious. But so that's how it's going to work. What's cool is they're not going to play this game where there's a clock and everything. They're just kind of wasting time. It's like, no, in order for you guys to finish this game, you have to score a certain amount of points. So it's going to be the first to score or surpass 40 points in the game, which I think is pretty cool, right? Like that kind of incentivizes people. There's an absolute stop to the game. It's like pickup. It's like if you guys have ever played pickup basketball, as it gets closer and closer, guys are going to start locking up because they don't want to lose and they know it's right here, right now, right? So that's what I feel like is naturally going to happen. And then to incentivize those players even more, every player that wins gets $1.8 million. How they determine that number? No clue. Each player on the championship winning team gets $125K. Players on the second place team get this much. Players on the teams that lose in the semifinals get that much. So Look, you may think that players don't care about that stuff, but I know quite a few NBA guys. I know a couple NBA guys, good friends of mine that are on max contracts. Like, I'll just put it that way. They make quite a bit of money. And I talked to them about like the cup and everything. And they're like, look, I'm not going to lie. You tell me I'm going to get like $1 million if I win this game. Like, hell yeah, I'm going to go a little bit harder. That's $1 million, right? So they're going to go a little bit harder for this. They just will. I'd like to think that this is going to be fun. I'm excited to see it at the very least. But hey, as always, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts about it. I think it's interesting. Next thing to talk about, a little bit of history being made. LeBron James, let's pull him up. He's a name you might be familiar with, Mr. James. Having another great season, but he just became the leader for most minutes played in NBA history. I guess he passed Kareem, I'm guessing it was. I don't even remember who exactly it was. It's just like, wow, I kind of surprised LeBron doesn't have that record already, actually. That's a real testament to Kareem or whoever he passed, right, for how many minutes they played. But LeBron just standing the test of time, just continuing to break records. For the guy that tortured me throughout my childhood because my Chicago Bulls could never beat him in the Miami Heat and the Cavs and whoever. If you're a Raptors fan or a Hawks fan or insert any other team that just lost to him every single year, you know what I'm talking about, right? But just to get to enjoy who he is now and like watching that he's still so dominant and just still getting to see him play at this point is such a blessing for all of us. So I'm really glad that we get to watch LeBron James play at this point. Next thing to talk about, we had a ball boy get a tech in an NBA game. So basically what happened is, I'm not going to pull up the clip or anything like that. I just don't feel like fighting a legal battle in this video. So I'm going to have to do it anyway because of the highlights I put up during this part. Well, I'm not going to do it anyway. So basically what happened is Knicks and Pelicans are playing. Knicks are trying to inbound the ball. The ball just went out of bounds. It was kind of controversial whether or not the Knicks were going to get the ball from it. Like the ref said it was Knicks ball. It was kind of iffy as to whether or not it was out on the Pelicans. And so the Pelicans bench, you can tell, are trying to figure out if they want to challenge it. And one of the ball boys like runs out onto the court to like mop up the floor kind of randomly because like some people went down or something like that. And the ref called a tech and gave them a delay of game and stuff like that. Was their second warning, so they got a tech for it, and they attribute it to the ball boy, right, which goes to the Pelicans bench. And they're like, "Yep, this is what happens." And now, kind of a weird thing. I saw most of the people online saying like NBA's gone too far. They've done too much of this. From everything that I've heard, like Josh Hart's came out and talked about this on the Knicks, and he's like, no, the Pelicans bench told him to go out there and do it, and he just got yelled at. Like they were like, hey, go, basically buy them some time to figure out if they want to challenge it or not. And I've talked to some other people that I know in New York, and they've confirmed that they're like, no, yeah, they were like yelling at him to go do it. So that's what I'm interpreting it as. So I don't know, maybe they deserve the tech or whatever. Just don't yell at the ball boy. It's not his fault. Like if you have NBA players and you're a ball boy, like yelling at you to go mop something up, you're going to go mop something up right there. Like shout out to the managers on the Timberwolves. I know them very, very well. And like those boys, they get out there and they do what they need to do. So shout out to them. I know how hard it is to be one of those guys. So we'll just go easy on them, all right? Go easy on them. But yeah, kind of an interesting story here. And then something that just broke earlier today is that Mo Wagner has torn his ACL. And so let's pull up old Mo here. This is some tough news for the Orlando Magic. So Mo Wagner, really good season, having a really, really good season. Off the bench, for the most part, 13 points per game, 5 rebounds, pretty efficient overall from the field. Really the heart and soul of this team. I've got some pretty good connections down there at Orlando. I've had the coaches tell me like, hey, like this is our guy, right? Like this is really the guy that keeps a lot of people together, brings the energy whenever he's on the court. And now you've got Paulo out with an injury, you got Franz out with an injury, and now Mo goes down. It feels like Suggs goes down every other day. Shout out Cole Anthony, who actually had a good game this week. They got him on the court a little bit more. But the Orlando Magic just continue to get injuries and like performing really well this year nonetheless. But you know, the whole conversation was, okay, Orlando probably just needs like one more scoring player to add to this team and then we're good to go. Now all these injuries happen and it's like, okay, we can't really make a trade anymore because we can't risk giving up like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope despite the season that he's having. He's slowly working his way back up, and I'd like to think that he will. I still didn't think it was a good move for them to go get him. I just don't think he fits on the team. But you have him and the likes of Cole Anthony, who you're like, we'd like to trade these guys and go get something for them because we have assets to go make a move, but you kind of need them to try to stay afloat right now. And that's the complicated thing. And you could go make a trade, you could move them. Let's just say it was for the guy that I always talk about. Let's just say it's Anthony Simons, right? Like, we don't need to talk about the legitimacy of it. Let's just say it's Anthony Simons. They go, we want to go get a score, something like that. Let's go trade for Anthony Simons. They go, they make the trade for him, right? Cool. Now Anthony Simons is on the team. He's going to go be the lead scorer and everything, yada, yada, yada. Paolo's got to come back at some point. So while you're trying to work Paolo back into the rotation, you're also trying to work him and Simons together. And then Franz is going to come back at some point. And now you're trying to get all three of them to mesh together. That could just slow things down. And maybe you just want to hold on to the team that was playing well at some point. So I think you could go either way with it, but I think it's going to be complicated regardless. So do the Magic just try to brace themselves and hope that, like, oh, please, Franz and Paolo, come back soon. We need you. We love you. Or do they try to make a move now and just go for it? I don't know. I think that's a complicated one, but curious to hear your guys' thoughts down below. Anyway, let's move on to the rookie report. All right, y'all, here's the rookie report. So we're up to a minimum games played of 17 right now. For those of you that are curious, this is sorted by points per game. We did like a small study to basically find out, whoever leads in points per game typically wins rookie of the year, typically being the key term there. It's not always the case, but it is a lot of the time. So we've got it listed here, our top 15 rookies, kind of guys to watch and everything. We'll go over some of the other rookies, but Jared McCain will fall off, obviously, as he eventually falls below the threshold of games played, but we all know McCain was having an awesome season. Jalen Wells continues to be number 2. He's my rookie of the year as of right now, if I had to give it to somebody. I just think he's been so consistent. He doesn't show like a clear weakness out on the court. Like, he can put the ball on the floor a little bit. He's created a few opportunities, nothing too awesome, but he's shown a little bit. He's been efficient from the field. He's playing really good defense. Like, he's just fit in as a starter from day one for the Grizzlies, who have lineups that change constantly, and he doesn't falter. Like, that's incredibly difficult for a rookie to do. So shout out Jalen Wells. Stephon Castle, we mentioned him earlier, going back to the bench, totally makes sense. Devin Vassell was always going to take that spot. It makes more sense anyway. Castle can't shoot right now. Scoring is pretty bleh. Pretty bleh right now. The defense looks really good. Every once in a while, he does have like a blunder defensively where he's just not in the right spot. But overall, really, really good instincts, really smart player, sees the court pretty well. His numbers are probably going to start to fall if people don't get hurt. And that's okay, right? Like, I still think Stephon Castle's got a future ahead of him. I think he's going to be a nice player in the NBA. But for the time being, his numbers are probably going to start to fall a little bit. Alex Sarr has been slowly crawling up this list. He has put together a string of like 6 or 7 like really nice games in a row where, look, the Wizards still make him spot up like way too much. It's really, really annoying. The Wizards don't know what the hell they're doing on the basketball court ever, but putting together some really nice performances. One of the things I really like out of Sarr, besides his lockdown defense, he has been an amazing defender this whole season. So shout out Alex Sarr for that. We knew that. That's what we expected. We figured the offense would take more time. One of the things that he can do is he can get a rebound, and he like starts the break. And it's one of the things I noticed in film and when talking about it, is I'm like, this is a 7'1" guy that goes up and down the court really smoothly. Like, we're talking like not like a step below Giannis level coordination when he's doing it. Like, he is pushing that ball and he's moving fast, and he can go and like make the next pass and everything. So there's a lot to like about Alex Sarr here. So I really, really like him. I think you have a starting center going forward. Zach Edey's back. That's awesome. He's starting, doing his thing. He's like, for the amount of minutes that he's out there, like, he really doesn't contribute at like a super high level. Like, he's efficient, right? Like 11 points per game. He's hitting his shots. Awesome. Like, that's awesome. He's going to deter a lot of shots, grab rebounds. Cool. I don't think he's ever going to be like a super dominant player. And honestly, Santi Aldama and Brandon Clark kind of outperform him in like less minutes. But hey, they just need a big body to go out there and block some shots, get some rebounds, and dunk the ball when nobody guards him. He's killing it. So shout out Zach Edey for that one, man. It's been awesome. Reese Shea has fallen down to the second tier of rookies down here after he's been at the top for most of the year. The efficiency continues to not quite be there. Defensively, he has some pretty good moments. I wouldn't say he's putting together great defensive performances, and I don't know if that's just the Hawks or what, but he's taken a lot of shots. He's taken a lot of shots, and they're not quite falling yet, and that's okay. He's young, but he's got a lot to like about him. I like the handle on him. I like the athleticism. He cuts without the ball pretty well, and it should be noted, a guy that's coming overseas and playing a particular type of basketball and then trying to play the Trae Young style of basketball can be difficult, so we'll give him a break there. Dalton Connect only got like 5 minutes the other night. I don't know why they're not playing him anymore. It pisses me off. Yves Missy, probably my second option for Rookie of the Year, in all honesty. Like, he has already become my new Clint Capella, and I love it, right? He blocks shots, he grabs a ton of rebounds. Like, he's 9 points, like 8.5 rebounds? For a team that desperately needed center help, like, he's contributed so much already early. He attacks the rim so well for, like, putbacks and everything. Love Yves Missy. He, like, doesn't do anything all that complicated, but he does what he does really well. Bub Carrington, he's trying still. He's still trying. I love the effort that he puts out there on the court. He's trying to do the right thing. They're mostly giving Jordan Poole the ball recently anyway, and so he hasn't gotten quite as many ball handling opportunities to be a point guard. And Jordan Poole's actually been playing really well recently too, so shout out to him. But I don't know. It's hard being a Washington Wizard. Tristan da Silva finds himself in the second tier of rookies now, obviously getting a lot more playing time with all the injuries that are going on. We still need the field goals to start falling. I feel like he had a good week, did he not? I guess I could pull up, I just forgot the name, or Tristan da Silva, who I was pulling up. So Tristan da Silva this week, okay, no, it still wasn't very good. Okay, well, the scoring was up, and I guess that's what I was remembering. But we need him to make shots at some point. Like, I want to maintain that there's a difference in me, like, criticizing Tristan da Silva by saying, like, he needs to make shots, when I've been saying, like, hey, other rookies, like, don't worry about efficiency right now. When we're talking about long-term Tristan da Silva, yeah, I'm not tripping about the efficiency right now. Like, let him figure it out and everything. He's a rookie, not a big deal. He is a little bit older, so I expect a little bit more, but I'm still not tripping about it. I'm talking more so from the sense of, like, look, this team has to win basketball games, and, like, they need da Silva to be something, so he's gonna have to make shots at some point. Keyshawn George, I can't watch Keyshawn George play basketball at this point. I'm gonna be honest with you, I just don't like it. Same with Filipowski, don't like watching him play. Does Filipowski still start it? Is he still starting? I don't know. I don't know what the Jazz are doing always, but they're existing, and I trust the Jazz. They're gonna figure things out. Ron Holland is back here in the third tier of things. I again struggled to watch him play parts of basketball. I love the energy this guy plays with. I didn't think that that'd be a big part of his game coming in. It is so good to see him buying in on the effort end. He has no clue what the fuck is going on the basketball court, though. No clue at all. And that's okay. He's young, right? It's okay. I'll keep saying, I don't know why the Pistons took this guy. Do they have the resources to develop this guy appropriately? They've got so many other guys at the positions. You have Cade Cunningham doing what he's doing. He needed some help. Go get him something else. I don't know. Donovan Clingan, when will the Portland Trailblazers just let this guy be free? He still looks out of shape a little bit, and his knees still looks like it's bothering him a little bit. He moves so much less smooth than he was in earlier parts of the season, so something to watch there. But defensive force, good around the rim, passes the ball well, and starting to shoot the three ball kind of well too, like I theorized. So we're in the right direction here. And then Ryan Dunn has been playing better as of late when, like, the star players are back, so that's good, but nothing else to really trip about. All right, let's take a look at some of the other, like, lottery picks that aren't featured here. Reed Shepherd, it's kind of just getting worse for Reed Shepherd. Look, I don't think you need to send him down to the G League for, like, the rest of the season. At least send him down for, like, a couple games. Let him get his confidence up, for Christ's sakes. Like, it's kind of hard to watch right now. Going back to Salon, hasn't really been putting together too much, which, look, he's one that I said this is going to be an extremely raw player this year, but I think in a couple of years he could be better than anyone else in this class, and I truly believe that. Can the Hornets develop that? No clue. They haven't really proven they can develop someone yet, so we'll see. It's a new group of people. Moving on to Rob Dillingham. Sometimes he gets minutes, sometimes he doesn't. I don't know. Timberwolves can't score any points at all, so I don't know why they don't just put him and Terrence Shannon Jr. in the game. Pisses me off, honestly, but you know what? They're going to do what they're going to do. Defensively, they're awesome. The Timberwolves just don't know how to play offense whatsoever. I'm sorry, Coach Finch. It's rough to watch. Cody Williams. Oh, man, yeah, he's rough. Cody Williams is rough right now, but young, raw. We said that as well. Give him time. Everybody give him time. Buzelis. I want to say better things about Buzelis. It's just like, the effort's really good, and he gets up and down the court well. Every once in a while, he puts together, like, a solid game, and then Bulls fans go crazy, and they're like, get rid of Billy Donovan. Like, he needs to be playing more. Billy Donovan's a good coach, y'all. Y'all got to chill a little bit. Like, this team's not very good. Like, the Bulls are not very good, so, like, you need to relax. And Buzelis is not that good right now. There's a lot of skills that he needs to develop. Again, I'll keep saying, like, the rebounding, the ball handling, and the shooting, some of the things that were going to be important, or that are going to be important for his development, I don't see them there right now. So something that we got to see got to see improved. Obviously, some of these other guys not quite playing right now. We did get a Khalil Ware sighting this week, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, otherwise that's kind of it for a lot of these rookies. I'll keep shouting out AJ Mitchell. I actually don't have an updated picture for AJ Mitchell, but he's been playing really well for the Thunder. So shout out AJ Mitchell. All right, let's go talk about standings. Starting out in the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers just can't be caught. I keep thinking that the Celtics are going to catch them at some point, but they're putting together another little winning streak, man. Evan Mobley continues to be a really dominant player for them. That's awesome. The Celtics still have the unstoppable combination of all these lengthy defender, ball handler, shooters. That's just ridiculous, and I don't know what to do about them, but they continue to roll. The Knicks have moved their way up after winning a couple games up to the 3rd seed. How much longer can they continue just playing like 5 players the whole game? I don't know. They have to address that at some point, man, because what happens if somebody goes down? I just knock on wood, obviously, but like, oh my gosh, it worries me every time I look at their box score. I read every box score every single night, and I always go, oh my God, that's so many minutes. That's so many minutes every single night, but when the Knicks are cooking offensively, they literally can't lose, because defensively, they show up every single night, it feels like, so good on them. The Magic, still floating right now. They've got a nice little buffer, right? They've got a little buffer here of like 2.5 games. That's fine. I don't know how much longer until Banchero's back, but even still, it's going to take him a while to get integrated. So can we keep them from falling to like the 6? We'll see. The Milwaukee Bucks, obviously they won the cup and everything. Awesome to see Lillard get all that. I didn't really feel like covering that. I don't think it's like a huge deal necessarily. Like, it's a big deal to like win that, and that's awesome and everything. I didn't feel like it was going to get a ton of views, so I didn't feel like doing it. But the Milwaukee Bucks slowly starting to figure things out. Slowly. Lillard and Giannis look awesome. The Heat, are we going to blow things up? Are we not going to blow things up? You guys tell me. Atlanta Hawks, don't really like watching them. It's a little bit frustrating to watch Trae Young right now. The Pacers can't figure out what they're doing. The Bulls, inconsistent as all hell. If they don't score 140 points, they don't win. But the offense is fun at the very least. The Pistons, they're fighting. They're fighting. I'm rooting for the Pistons, man. I'm really rooting for it. I know they don't want to lose their pick and everything, but like, just fight. Just keep fighting. The Nets, starting to lose a little bit. They're playing Keon Johnson now at like the point guard, and that's interesting to say the least. They've also gone back to the Noah Clowney, Nick Claxton lineup, so I'm curious to see if that brings any results like they saw at the end of last season between those two, because they were like a really odd, like positive lineup for them. So I don't know. I'm curious to see it. The Hornets can't figure it out. Yeah, they can't figure it out. The Raptors, they're really struggling right now, and the Wizards are the Wizards, and they suck. But Jordan Poole's playing better, so that's cool. Also, Coulibaly, shout out Coulibaly, man. He's doing his thing out there. Over to the West, OKC. Just running away with everything ever since they like lost the cup game, which they lost the cup game, but that doesn't affect like their actual record. So that's why their streak is still alive. They're just crushing everybody. Good for them. The Memphis Grizzlies. This feels like a time to make a trade, right? You're playing really, really well. You've got tradable assets and everything. Go make a move. Go get you a Brandon Ingram or something like that, or somebody. Go get you Jimmy Butler. That one's a lot harder to do, but you know what I'm saying. We talked about the Rockets being up here. They've been playing really well. That's awesome. The Mavericks, when they're all together in that first 5, they just beat the shit out of people. They are so good right now. The Lakers have crawled their way back up to the 5th seed. A lot of that because Mr. D'Angelo Russell has actually been playing really good for them as of late, coming off the bench. Do they put him back in the first 5? I don't know. D'Angelo Russell is just always so blah. So I don't know. They don't play Dalton Connect anymore either. They've been starting Max Christie, and he hasn't been very effective, but they do it anyway. I don't know how to judge Max Christie. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan necessarily, but he's there. The Denver Nuggets just try to figure it out every single night. They're just always trying to figure out who's going to help Jokic. At the end of the day, is Westbrook going to do it? Is it going to be Murray? We don't know. Is Michael Porter Jr. going to get traded? I think that's a complicated situation. I don't know. The Warriors trying to stay afloat, right? The Dennis Schroeder hasn't played too well for them as of late. I mean, even just looking at this, I guess I could pull up Dennis Schroeder here. Yeah, in 2 games this week, he was rough, but it's fine. It's going to take a little bit for him to adjust to the Warriors' very unique style of play. The Clippers, they're trying, right? They're trying to hold on. Norm Powell, James Harden playing very well this season. All the other role players, I'll still say they should blow up the team. Spurs winning a little bit recently. Awesome. Timberwolves can't score any points. The Suns can't keep all their big 3 healthy. It's really frustrating. Kings fans, they don't know what the hell's going on. They're like, we have all the good players, but none of them play well together. They're freaking out every single day and wondering if they should blow the team up or not. I'll say, I think you hold on to the team, try to figure out why you're not winning some basketball games, because you've got a lot of good players, like maybe besides Kevin Huerter. I don't know why Kevin Huerter can't play basketball at this point. Can we just pull up Kevin Huerter really quick? What's going on here, Kevin? Less than 10 points, 2 assists. Like, he's getting over a steal a game. That's cool. But just like, why can Kevin Huerter not shoot? I don't understand. I don't like it, Kevin Huerter. Do better. The Trailblazers, they just piss me off. Just figure out how to put a roster together. It's not that complicated. Trade your players, please. Utah Jazz, they do what they do. They're just doing it. And then the Pelicans just can't stay healthy or win basketball games. I got a video coming out this week about what I think the Pelicans should do directionally, what kind of trades they should make, how they can set themselves up better for the future. So be on the lookout for that. And hey, just a reminder, holiday weekend or holiday week and everything, please go enjoy some family time and everything. Don't be sitting down and just like watching my videos. If you got family to go hang out with and everything, go give them a hug, tell them you love them. That's what I'll always say. But I won't have a ton of videos coming out to you guys. I have pre-recorded 2 more outside of this one so that you guys have something to watch around the holidays. But I'm going to be traveling a little bit, so don't expect 5 videos this week for me, and I apologize for that. But then next week, we're back on the grind as always. So hey, appreciate you guys as always, and we'll talk to y'all later. Have a wonderful holiday week. Thanks so much. Bye.